So we're gonna go out moose hunting this evening. It's about 3:30 on Friday. It's about 51 degrees right now. We're gonna head about 40 miles away from the house up behind Fairbanks. We're gonna offload the four-wheeler, excuse me, and we're gonna go just ride, set up, glass until it gets dark, and then come out. So hopefully we'll see something. But what Hendrik didn't know is that we're sleeping out here tonight. So we're gonna go out moose hunting this evening. It's about 3:30 on Friday. It's about 51 degrees right now. We're gonna head about 40 miles away from the house up behind Fairbanks. We're gonna offload the four-wheeler, excuse me, and we're gonna go just ride, set up, glass until it gets dark, and then come out. So hopefully we'll see something. If not, at least we'll have a fun time out there hanging out in the woods together. Yep. So we just got our four-wheeler unloaded out of the back of our truck. We got all of our gear on that we're gonna need for this evening's moose hunt. Since I've been doing this for so many years and I've had to learn from trial and error and unfortunate events that have made me change the way I load my four-wheeler whenever I go out on longer hunts far away from home, we are set up in case anything happens. We'll at least be comfortable. But like I said, we're about 40 miles or so away from the house behind Fairbanks, and we're gonna go out and see if we can't see ourselves a moose.
Big moose.
A big moose.
With big antlers.
With big antlers, and take it. But I'll give you a quick shot of what we have to go ride through this evening.
All this stuff.
So we're about 3 miles away from our pickup truck right now. We're gonna drive until we find a good spot to set up and relax and look for moose. But there is an active gold mine back here about 10 miles, 15 miles in. Maybe we'll run into that too. So we've been out here riding around and hunting for about, let's see, it's 6:30 now. So we've been out here for about 3 hours or so driving, and we've ridden a bunch of trails. We haven't seen anything, but that's okay because we're having fun together riding around. But what Hendrik didn't know is that we're sleeping out here tonight.
Our four-wheeler broke down.
Yes, it broke down. But like I previously said, due to my trials and errors of learning what to have and what not to have while hunting, I typically keep a good stockpile of gear on my four-wheeler for these reasons specifically. But what we were able to find, luckily, is somebody's old hunting shed. It looks kind of ransacked down, like a pile of trash, but what this will provide for us tonight is ample amounts of firewood. I'm not even gonna get in that, nor am I gonna sleep underneath that tonight. But there's a tarp that we can utilize.
Ladder.
A ladder if we needed a ladder, and plenty of firewood and metal piping. There's actually some oil in that old metal fuel can right there. I'll break my legs going through here because they had an old oil drip stove up inside this fancy shelter that has started to rot away. But look, he's got a hard hat, so he had safety in mind. But I did find, look, old pepper cans, soda cans. Back here though is the ticket for a fire. an old drum. This will allow us to keep all the heat concentrated in one area.
And safe.
And safe, exactly. So we're gonna roll that drum closer to where we're gonna set up our tent tonight, our tarp shelter tonight. Hold on, let me help you move that thing, buddy. But that's what we're gonna make a fire in. Gotta love young guys, got all the muscle. So after doing a little bit of reconning on what we could get out of this old dilapidated hunting stand, basically is what we figured it out to be, we were able to come up with some Artec insulation, which is silver on one side, and it's only 1 inch thick, but that's okay because it's going to do two things for us. We're actually going to sleep on this tonight. We're going to lay it down on the ground. It will help keep the cold from the ground sucking us in. We found all this lumber, this big huge pile of lumber. We've already got a good load of lumber and wood in this barrel that we found. We picked it up off the ground with some bricks that we found and some steel angle iron so it doesn't catch the ground on fire. There's 3-4 inches of space underneath there. We don't want to burn anything down. We found a couple extension cords that we're going to use to support our A-frame. We just tied it to this birch tree here, tied the other end of it to the front of my four-wheeler, and stretched it tight. We found this big roll of visqueen. I don't think we're going to use it, but we're not going to get rid of it. We're going to just put a tarp up. So we got to go cut a couple small poplar trees and make ourselves some stakes. And then once we get our shelter set up, we have enough firewood set up. The next thing that we'll do is we'll start figuring out the process for food tonight. So I got Hendrik down there with a Gerber 8-inch folding saw, cutting that piece of poplar is roughly 1.25 inches in diameter. That one piece that's about 8 feet long will give us 4 stakeout points to be able to hang our tarp up. So while he's doing that, some of the stuff that I typically keep on my four-wheeler is 1 extra gallon of water. In this bag back here, I've got a commercial contractor's trash bag that I keep in this pocket. I've got 100 feet of rope in this pocket, and I've got an air compressor for my tires and a tire repair kit. Inside of that, I've got, that was a big timber, buddy. On the inside, I keep 1 MRE, a couple of power bar granola bars. I also keep a couple of knives. I've got 1 large game bag. It can be used for multiple purposes. This big green bag right here is a Arctic sleeping bag insert rated to 30 degrees, but when it's cold and rainy out, that right there is money. I've got a couple rain jackets. I got a 300 Winchester rifle that I always keep with me when I'm out in the woods when it's moose hunting season. If it's not moose hunting season, I have a 12 gauge shotgun with bear slugs. On the front, I keep a tarp. That's a 10 by 12 tarp. I also keep extra bottles of water up front. And this little pouch right here is just full of probably about 100 feet of 550 cord and about 20 different bungee straps. It's either in that bag there, or I've got them stashed underneath different areas on my four-wheeler. In this bag right here, I've got a pair of wet weather gloves. I keep a couple of knives in there, and Crystal Light, because I hate plain water, so I always have to mix my water. Crystal Light. Old packages, yeah, but they last forever. And then inside this little compartment here on my four-wheeler, I keep, oh, my key's stuck, hold on. Okay, thank you. I keep a tire pressure check, of course, charging cables or whatever, because I can plug it into the side of my folder right there. I've got BC powders, because I get a lot of headaches. That's okay, I'm old, it happens when you get crickety. Peanuts. Extra batteries, couple lighters,
I got some bug masks,
batteries,
mosquito nets in there, flares, tape measure, yeah, peanuts, and a couple other essentials. I got a few lighters and some more rope, a couple knives, knife sharpeners, everything else that I don't know, I just stuck in there over the years that I found that I needed. Oh, and a tire pressure gauge right there. So, and I got my GPS there. It's old, but it's trusty. It's got tracks all over the state in that thing. So I have found no reason to get rid of it yet. So now that Hendrik cut down our one tree, I'm going to teach him how to make stakes, because I've done this many times. Now it's his turn to learn. Also, some of the random things that I keep on my four-wheeler, which I've already taken off so we can get to some gear, is one folding camping chair. It's amazing. It's nice sitting on your four-wheeler, but it's also nice to have a chair. One foam pad, so if you have to sit on the ground. In that pack right there, I keep extra food, extra gloves, extra beanie hats, face masks, some gloves, wet wipes, because you never know when you need a wet wipe to wash your hands, wash your face, or whatever else you need wet wipes for. I got more power bars in there, more knives in there, another GPS in there, and in that red bag on the bottom, I've got rain pants, and I've also got a couple jackets and more layers of clothing for whatever you may need. So now that Hendrik cut out all the steaks, we'll start looking for something for dinner tonight.
Right here is our simulated rabbit that we caught with our snare. We are cooking this rake to get all the bacteria off to cook our simulated rabbit on. And
which happens to be steak.
Yeah. And over here I found this most beautiful view.
So our simulated rabbit is getting cooked as we speak. I'm excited for it because I'm hungry.
Me too.
10 o'clock at night. It's about 40 degrees. We got our whole camp set up. We're just gonna eat and then we're gonna go to bed. So I know it's hard to see us. It's currently 10:45 at night. It's about 35 degrees. Our barrel stove that we found is doing quite a wonderful job. And we got a little fire going on next to it that we weren't intending, so we need to put that out before we go to bed tonight. But we ate our simulated rabbit, 2 nice good steaks, and we're full. So now we're gonna go ahead and get ready to go to bed. But it's been a great day and counting it all joy.
Bye.
Bye. So it's about 6:30 in the morning. It is about 35 degrees. We slept fairly decent last night for it getting down to just about freezing. We were able to maintain a fire in that barrel throughout the entire evening, but we did use quite a bit of the wood that we had other than the really long sticks. But we don't want to keep a big fire going right now because we're gonna start packing up, and then once we get packed up, we're gonna eat some sandwiches that we originally came out here with, and we got them sitting in front of the stove right there because they're frozen, so we're thawing out our sandwiches. But this is where we slept last night, and it worked pretty well. What do you think, Hendrik?
I think that was pretty good.
So we got the whole camp last night that we stayed at cleaned up, packed up, loaded back on the four-wheeler. There's our sleeping bag, the tarp, chair, Hendrik, firewood, everything we got. Water, extra food or rifles. It's now 7:15. It took us roughly 45 minutes to get up, get everything packed up, eat breakfast, and get on the move. So we're gonna go ride probably about 15 or 20 miles this morning to see if we can't run into a moose somewhere. So we've been riding for about maybe 45 minutes now, and we run into another cabin out in the middle of the woods. This is on Nugget Creek, probably about 5 or 6 miles away from where we slept last night. So you can see that cabins have been built and abandoned here over the years, but this one still looks like it gets used every once in a while. So let's take a look at the inside of it. The truck is covered in ice. So that just lets you know how cold it is, below freezing. So we just got back to our truck. It's about 9:20 in the morning. We rode quite a bit. We didn't see anything, but we still had a great time. We got to spend the night out there in the woods and try out some gear. I think we may look at doing some more gear, but you only learn from trying it out. But either way, we had a great time and counting it all joy.
Bye.
Bye.